A proposal that started bubbling up in the first Trump administration, could have a big impact on mortgage demand and housing more broadly. And it's the privatization of Fannie and Freddie, picking up some traction after a CBO letter said back in December they see an easier path to privatization now than in the last report back in 2020. If that were to happen, Moody's Mark Zandi thinks it could raise mortgage rates by 60 to 90 basis points. My next guest says it could also trickle down into the muni market. Let's bring in Wells Fargo head of muni strategy, Vikram Rai. Vikram, can you kind of broadly explain this? Welcome.
Thank you, Kelly, and it's my pleasure to be here. So, see, whenever we talk about this issue, and this issue has been on the back burner and the front burner for more than a decade.
It's exhausting.
It's exhausting, yes. And it's a very complicated issue. So before we put the cart before the house and start getting stressed out about the privatization of Fannie and Freddie, there are some prerequisites that need to be met, right?
Really?
First and foremost, right, that when Fannie and Freddie were bailed out by the U.S. government, the Treasury took a senior preferred stake, right? So that's
and they're getting all that cash right now, right?
They're getting it in the form of dividends. So the senior preferred stake has grown to $350 billion.
Wow.
Right? And so that is something which is sitting on the Treasury's balance sheet, and that needs to be voided, meaning, that's taxpayers' money.
Right, so you think at a time when we have no money, we're going to say, here, take $350 billion off.
So politically, it's very unpalatable. Then, of course, there is this question about the guarantee, right? And that guarantee, it's not an explicit guarantee, as you know. It's the implicit guarantee, and it stems from the fact that in 2008, 2009, the Treasury granted them a line of credit, which they have kept increasing, so now it's virtually unlimited.
Yeah.
So that's the implied backstop, right? The implied guarantee. Now,
which keeps mortgage rates, maybe lower than they otherwise would. I don't know. This is a big debate in the markets, right? There's people who say that this whole system is all screwed up and the incentives are all strange and what have you, and we should just privatize it and let the private sector rush in, and I don't know, maybe somehow that brings down mortgage rates.
Kelly, I could not disagree with that more. Okay? See, housing affordability is at a multi-decade low, right? Rates are still high. So any disruption to the market, the TBA market, which is functioning very well, will have not just a trickle-down effect, it'll have a knock-on effect.
Is it having one? So when these discussions resurface, do you think that's having an effect on the mortgage rate? Because you know that the president and his Treasury Secretary are trying to come up with other ways to get mortgage rates down. And it sounds like any chatter around privatizing Fannie and Freddie then is not that helpful.
It's not helpful at all. And my clients call me all the time when this chatter came about. They were not freaking out, but they are worried about the market, that what impact it'll have, because it'll have a downstream impact on the muni housing market too. So you know what HFAs are, that these are housing financing agencies, and their charter, their mandate is copacetic with the GSEs, meaning they're there
These are the state agencies, right?
Correct, the state agencies, they're local agencies too, and it's not a small market. It's at least $300 billion. Now they increased, so the mandate is to increase affordability for GSEs. It's very similar for HFAs. They just do it for lower income borrowers.
I see, kind of like the FHA on a national.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, there are similarities, but they help with down payment assistance, they help with closing cost assistance, and they have access to a tax-exempt market. And the HFAs have done a phenomenal job, managing their credit portfolio and also increasing housing affordability.